In northeastern Africa, two ancient nations, Egypt and Ethiopia, are locked in a modern struggle, not with armies, but with ambition and survival. At the heart of this contest flows the River Nile, a lifeline for over 250 million people. For Egypt, the Nile is everything. A green artery through desert, sustaining nearly all its people and agriculture. The river is a sacred inheritance, and any threat to its flow is seen as an existential crisis. But the Nile's story begins in Ethiopia's highlands, where the Blue Nile is born, carrying 85% of the water that reaches Egypt. For centuries, Ethiopia watched its water flow north, untapped. Now, Ethiopia seeks to harness this power for its own development, setting the stage for a high-stakes, geopolitical showdown. Egypt fears disaster, parched fields, economic collapse. If the river's flow is reduced, Ethiopia sees a chance for national rebirth and to lift millions from poverty. The Nile, once a symbol of life, now fuels a dangerous conflict, pulling these nations in opposite directions. The fate of the region hangs in the balance. Today's tensions are rooted in colonial-era treaties from 1929 and 1959, which gave Egypt and Sudan control over the Nile and veto power over upstream projects. Ethiopia, the source of most of the Nile's water, was excluded from these agreements. For decades, Ethiopia saw its resource allocated by foreign powers, fueling resentment and a drive for change. Egypt's dominance was enforced by legal documents and military might, making any challenge seem impossible. But as Ethiopia's population and ambitions grew, the old treaties began to look obsolete. Ethiopia saw the Blue Nile not just as a river, but as a powerhouse for its future. The imbalance of power simmered, waiting for a catalyst. That catalyst arrived with Ethiopia's decision to build a dam that would challenge a century of established order. The Gerd would become a symbol of Ethiopia's determination to control its destiny. The stage was set for a direct confrontation over the Nile's future. The river's flow would never again be taken for granted. In 2011, Ethiopia began building the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Africa's largest hydroelectric project on the Blue Nile. Funded largely by Ethiopians themselves, the dam became a symbol of national pride and self-reliance. Its goal to double Ethiopia's electricity output and power a brighter future for 120 million people. But for Egypt, the dam is a nightmare, a hand on the tap of its lifeline. The main fear: how quickly Ethiopia fills the dam's vast reservoir, and what happens during droughts. Egypt warns of parched fields and economic ruin. Ethiopia insists on its right to develop and promises benefits downstream. Years of negotiations have ended in stalemate, with Ethiopia refusing to be bound by old agreements. The dam rises, and so does mistrust. The Gerd is now a concrete symbol of both hope and fear. The Nile's future is more uncertain than ever. The rivalry has spilled from the Nile to the Red Sea. Landlocked since 1993, Ethiopia has relied on Djibouti's port, a costly dependency. In 2023, Ethiopia struck a deal with Somaliland for access to the port of Berbera, hinting at recognition of Somaliland's independence. This move angered Somalia and alarmed Egypt, which sees the Red Sea as vital to its own security and trade. Ethiopia's push for a naval base is viewed as a direct challenge to Egypt's influence. The Red Sea has become a new front in their competition, with regional power at stake. Egypt responded with warnings, determined to protect its interests. The contest that began on the Nile now shapes the entire Horn of Africa. The stakes have never been higher. The Egypt-Ethiopia rivalry has drawn in global powers. The Horn of Africa, near the Red Sea and Suez Canal, is now a stage for the US, China, Russia, Turkey, and Gulf states. China finances Ethiopian infrastructure and has a military base in Djibouti, close to US forces. Russia is expanding its influence, giving Ethiopia new allies. The Gerd stands as a symbol of shifting world order, complicating US and EU diplomacy. External powers can both escalate and contain the conflict, as Egypt and Ethiopia seek support. No one wants outright war, but the risk of regional instability is real. The world is watching, hoping for a diplomatic solution. Ethiopia's defiance is rooted in a unique history. It was never colonized, fueling fierce national pride. The GERD is more than a dam, it's a statement of independence, funded by Ethiopians to reclaim their future. Ethiopia frames the project as correcting colonial-era injustices and asserting African agency. The quest for Red Sea access is seen as restoring national wholeness, not just economic necessity. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed taps into this powerful sentiment, making the policy popular at home. Egypt faces a rival driven by historical justice, not just power politics. Ethiopia is building a new identity as a regional heavyweight, unafraid to challenge the old order. This is a struggle for the future narrative of the region. As 2026 approaches, the GERD is operational, transforming Ethiopia and forcing Egypt to adapt. Egypt invests in water-saving technologies, racing to build resilience. Open conflict seems unlikely, but low-level tensions, diplomatic battles, cyber attacks, proxy struggles persist. The river now flows with mistrust. Climate change and shifting global alliances will shape the rivalry's next chapter. The challenge: can Egypt and Ethiopia move from zero-sum rivalry to shared resources and cooperation? The Nile's story is Africa's story, of breaking from the past, balancing growth with survival. The region's fate depends on navigating these treacherous currents, ensuring the river remains a source of life, not conflict.